Greetings and salutations. So today I'm trying to do things a bit differently. I got some feedback, both from people in my social circle and also from some of you guys on Reddit, that it could be a good idea to put a commentary track on these videos. So I actually edited this video before, and I think I'm gonna do that in the future as well, and then I'm gonna do post commentary on it. So when I'm looking at this now, I'm also seeing the sped up version. I think it would be, some of these videos are several hours of footage, and it would take quite a lot of time to go through it and figure out what do I want to comment on and what don't. So I thought I'll just let the speedrun run and let's see what happens. So I thought maybe I should elaborate a bit on why exactly I'm doing these videos. So initially the idea came to me while I was leveling this character. I was around 17 or 18 maybe. And I thought it would be fun to kind of document the entire process. That would be a lot of footage though, and then I thought, why not time-lapse it? Every single interaction you do in the game, just time-lapse the whole thing. That was the initial idea. And then I was like, I could start a new character and do it on that, or I could just continue from that. And then I decided that I would do it from level 20, because if I wanted to do it for all the first 20 levels, some of the videos would be really short, because I kind of wanted it to stick to one video per level. At least in the beginning. I prefer not to have multiple levels in one video. I know in the later levels I will probably have less than a level per video, kind of to keep the videos not too long. So I think I'm gonna aim at a maximum of around 20 minutes, because I could imagine the later levels will be way more than that, even though I time-lapse it. And these videos, if you want to know, is actually sped up by like 1000%. So if I do it much faster than that, it's gonna be looking really weird. I kind of tested a bit back and forth, and initially I wanted to go a bit slower, but that would stretch the videos too long, I think. So the reason why I decided to go with the rogue is that it's probably the class I played the most back in vanilla. It wasn't actually my first class, and I didn't even play Alliance in the beginning. I started out playing Horde, a Horde Hunter. I think I was an Orc. And actually it was the Hunter class that brought me into the game. I used to play different MMOs back in the day, and at that time when World of Warcraft came out, I was playing Dark Age of Camelot, which is basically, yeah, well, more PvP minded MMO. I wasn't really into the PvP part that big though, but that's a different story. So in that game I was started to playing as a pet class, and I kind of like to play that, and then I don't know how I got into it, but someone showed me the Hunter class in World of Warcraft, and I was like, it was totally advanced back then compared to what the other games had. So I started up the demo. You could play like the first few, 20 levels or something, and you could, I think it's kind of the same as it is right now, right? So you can play the first 20 levels for free, and you can only have limited cash, can't group up with people and stuff. So I did that, and if I recall correctly, I actually leveled it up to 20 and decided then to buy the game. And after a while, so I kind of joined a server where I had friends and stuff playing, but a lot of them changed servers and just started playing Alliance on a different server. And so I did too. Again, I leveled a Hunter, a Dwarf Hunter, and that was my first character to 60 in World of Warcraft Vanilla. But the thing was that everyone was playing Hunter back then. There was so many Hunters. So it was extremely hard to find a group. I think at some point it was like, was it 33 or 34% of all online players, at least in the evenings, were Hunters. It was so crazy. So it was really hard to get a group, and I decided I want to play something else, because I kind of wanted to go into the endgame content, and if you can't get a group, you are even less likely to get a raid spot in a raid guild. So I started leveling a rogue, and actually I had a brother who also played on it, so you could say that he definitely helped me level that as well, because when I wasn't playing, he was playing. That was quite beneficial. And at some point we joined up with a guild. I even think that happened when I wasn't playing, funnily enough. And well, long story short, we ended up being class leaders for the rogue in that guild, and we went on raiding all the way through Blackwing Lair. I actually can't recall if we got to AQ as well. I don't think we ever beat that. At some point, friends and family started stop playing or transferred to different servers, and I ended up with joining some of my friends and family on a different server, playing as Horde, where I rolled a priest and played that for the remainder of my Warcraft time. So anyways, when Classic came out, I decided to jump aboard and get back on this nostalgia vibe. And I felt that it would be the best fit to play the rogue, and I've been enjoying it so far. So here we are in Duskwood, and I think Duskwood is... I'm probably gonna say this over the many videos that something is my favorite zone, but Duskwood is definitely one of my favorite zones. Mostly of the look and feel of it, but also I think it's a very efficient leveling zone, and during the videos I'll be back and forth here quite a bit. So let's not forget what's going on screen, and I noticed I just went around killing a lot of these wolves, but I already completed the quest, so this is probably one of the cases. I kind of have this thing that... So I just died there. You will be seeing everything. Deaths and all included. Yeah, anyway, so... I have this thing that whenever I walk around, travel through zones, I do some killing on the way, kind of to not make it a total waste of time to travel back and forth. I kind of like that philosophy. Also, it makes it a bit less boring to play. And you will see sometimes I'll just do the traveling, and other times I will be doing the killing. And I think I guess it's a bit more efficient to kill your way through stuff rather than just walk and run your way through stuff, even though you don't really need it. So here I'm doing this quest with the skeletons, with the skeletal horrors, and I can't remember what the other ones are called. Skeleton fiends. I think in this camp only the horrors are there though. But if you notice, maybe it's a bit hard to see when it's sped up like that, but in many cases I actually do I stealth and then I pickpocket them before I try to kill them. And it's quite fun because you get more and more loot because of pickpocket, and you get these lock boxes that you can level lockpicking on. But actually, if you get discovered by the monster while pickpocketing it, as long as it doesn't resist your pickpocket, which they can, and then it attacks you and you didn't get to loot it, you actually, when you kill it, you still have access to both the loot. So when you loot it once, you get the standard loot, then you can loot it again, and then you get your pickpocket loot. So you basically have 2 times loot on it. So usually you only get petty cash and some trash loot that doesn't sell for very much, but I think that everything helps. And I remember from when you get to the late game later on, I think out in Eastern Plaguelands, I remember doing some pickpocket farming where you are pickpocketing on these Scarlet Crusade guys, some elite mobs at least. And I recall that you get quite a bit of silver on each pickpocket. So I think it's nice to get into the habit of pickpocketing when you're playing the rogue, and I think it's a nice class trait that no other class have. So, and besides, you need to level your lockpicking, and I think one of the ways to do, there are ways where you can, there's a quest you can explore where you need to pick this lock, and then you can throw away whatever item you get from it, and you can do it again and again and again. And but I think I already did that quest, so I'm not going to do it like that. So the alternative is to open lockboxes for the players, or pickpocket mobs, and you get lockboxes. So at this level, I get lockboxes that I can easily open, and I don't gain anything from opening them anymore. But I'm pretty sure once I get to what's it called, Hillspread Foothills, Arathi Highlands, in that area, so basically level 30 plus ish, I would start getting higher levels of these lockboxes. So I think lockpicking is really nice, as long as your target has pockets. So here in the Darkshore there are these werewolves running around, these Worgen, and although they drop coins, they don't have pockets, so you cannot pickpocket them, which is a bit sad, I think, but I suppose it makes sense. I remember always assuming that if a mob could drop coins, you could pickpocket it, but that is just not the case. So one thing I learned from getting back to Classic is that the later versions of Warcraft got quite soft on the players. So notice that I have 2 debuffs on me right now, those diseases. They are pretty harsh. I can't remember exact the ones I got here, but all these ghouls that are around, and even some of the wolves spread disease. Some of them, they actually give you damage, so someone just cured me. That was quite lucky. But some of them actually deal damage like every 10 seconds, and they do that for several minutes. While I think one of them I had here actually cuts your regeneration rate in half. I think I have that right now again, which makes it quite cumbersome when you're leveling, because I kind of want, especially with my playstyle as a rogue, I prefer not to sit down and eat too much. I kind of try to make it a flow, so I use the regeneration between pulls to keep going. But here I definitely needed to use some bandages, and I don't think I have any food on me at this point in time, so it gets quite annoying if you don't have that. So that's where the classes that can cure disease have quite the advantage in this zone. So I learned though that for some of these cases you can actually learn the mobs, you get to know the mobs. I kind of like that. Once you're in the zone, you kind of get familiar with the mobs, and you can actually interrupt them. You might see that sometimes when I battle these, especially the ghouls, that I do a combination of kicking them and gouging them, simply to keep them from casting these debuffs. And the reason I do the gouge is, one, it interrupts, and two, it gives me a bit more time for my kick cooldown to be ready again. I think that's what's interesting about getting back to Classic, is that you need to think about it a bit more. There's less quality of life, and there's some more difficulty to some of the things that you really need to use a more broad array of your abilities in many cases. So in this case, interrupts and kick and gouge. I really enjoy that. Anyways, I think we are close to leveling up here now. So before I end the video, I'd like to know what you think about this commentary thing. Is it even worth it? Does it make sense to you? Maybe you even have ideas to what to talk about. I know I can't talk about what's going on the screen, but a lot of the stuff going on is just killing monsters, and that would be really boring to hear me say, and then I kill another spider, and then I kill another spider. Anyways, here it is, the level up, the end of 23 to 24. So if you like what we're doing here, consider leaving a like. And if you're new here, consider subscribing to tag along. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and you'll see me in the next video.